Hey, it's Ben here from the Strength Factory, and this is a first in a three-part video series talking to you about fat loss. Now, the focus here is going to be for mountain bikers, but everything I'm going to talk about is applicable to any active person who's getting out and about doing sport, whether you're overweight, a little bit over, or relatively healthy weight looking to really tune yourself up. Then stay tuned, watch the whole series. I've got plenty of really usable and plain English information that's going to help you reach your goals. Whilst it may be January right now and a lot of you are going to be thinking about your body fat and trying to be healthier in 2021, you actually may be watching this at any time of year. And this isn't quick fix 6 minutes abs and all that nonsense, okay? You can watch this and it's relevant at any time of year, okay? I'm all about long-term consistency, long-term progress, not about quick fixes. So if you're looking for that, do one, you're on the wrong channel. So, fat loss. Well, what's the big deal? I mean, why is everyone so fascinated about it? I mean, number one, health. Okay, I don't care what the body positive movement say. Being fat is not healthy. Okay, I don't believe in fat shaming, but I also don't believe that lying to people and then them ending up sick because they thought that fat was healthy. I don't think that's a good thing either. Number two, how you look. Okay, maybe you think that's just shallow, but there's nothing wrong with looking in the mirror and sort of walking around and feeling good about the way you look. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that at all, as long as you don't take it to extremes. Number three, performance. Yeah, most of you watching this are going to be mountain bikers. Okay, and even with an e-bike, extra body fat makes a big difference to your ability to get up the hill. And for those of you who think, oh, I don't really care, I'm only worried about going down the hill. Yeah, down the hill it's less of an issue, but it's still going to fatigue you more. Okay, your performance, whether that's just riding with your mates or racing, at a national level, doesn't matter which. Your performance is going to be negatively affected by carrying too much body fat. All those things together is why so many people right now are Googling best fat loss hacks, fat loss workout, fat loss diet, and all that sort of business. Okay, and that's probably why I found you here. They're all good reasons, and if you're overweight, you should be trying to do something about it. This first video is going to focus on some fundamentals. Okay, we're going to go through the big picture stuff that is really helpful to understand. Okay, and then in the next two episodes of this, we're going to dig into the detail a little bit more for you. So first of all, how do we lose fat? Okay, now, in one sense, it's very simple. How we get there can be a little more complicated, as many of you will have found out. So, it's like a set of scales. You've got energy in, i.e. the calories that you consume, and then energy out, i.e. the calories that your body burns, okay? If calories in is greater than calories out for a consistent period of time, then you put on weight. Conversely, if you want to lose weight, then the calories in need to be less than the calories out, so that over a consistent and prolonged period of time, you are in what's called a calorie deficit. Okay, you're eating less than you're using, okay, over a prolonged period of time on average. Okay, and that's the first thing here, is a lot of people, they maybe get into a calorie deficit for a few days at a time or here and there, but then they go back to their old habits and they treat themselves and they overeat on a weekend or a Friday night or something, and actually over the course of the week, okay, and 2 weeks and 3 weeks and a month, they haven't consistently been in a calorie deficit, and so guess what? They're not losing weight. Okay, making progress, losing body fat is about consistently being in a deficit. Now, it doesn't mean every day, but it means if you're looking at a given week, you need to be in a deficit, and a 2 weeks and a 3 weeks and a 4 week. There may be days in those weeks where you eat about the same amount of calories as you expend, where you're at a balance point, or even a few more. okay, as long as it doesn't tip the scales in the wrong direction. Because what we're looking for fat loss is consistent calorie deficit over a prolonged period of time. Let's dig into that calorie game, calories in versus calories out, in a little more detail. First of all, what are calories? Well, they're a unit of measure, just like kilometers and kilos and all that sort of thing. And they basically tell you how much energy is either in food or the things we're using, the things we're doing, excuse me. So the first thing you need to understand is that everything you eat contains calories at different amounts. And you need to then further understand that there are different amounts of calories in the different macronutrients. So fat, protein, and carbohydrates. So fat, you'll often hear that fat is fattening. Okay, it isn't fattening, but it is more calorifically dense than the others because a gram of fat has 9 calories in it, whereas 1 gram of protein has 4 calories, and 1 gram of carbohydrate also has 4 calories. So fat is about twice as dense in calories for a given weight. Okay, a little more than twice as dense in calories. Now, that doesn't mean we don't eat fat. It doesn't mean fat's bad for you. It just is something that you need to understand when you're looking at labels and when you're making food choices, is how calorifically dense is this food. On the other half of that equation, we've got the calories out, i.e. the calories that you burn. And again, kind of simple, but actually incredibly complex when we take everything into account. The first thing that everyone always thinks about is how many calories did I burn in that workout? And they're like, yes, it's a 300, 500, or on a big mountain bike ride, maybe 2 to 3,000, for an adult male going riding for 4 or 5 hours, you can easily burn that many calories. Okay. But actually, just as, if not more important than that, is the calories that you burn through the rest of the day and through the days when you're not exercising. So these are the calories made up of just going about your day-to-day business. So for me, I burn probably quite a few calories while I work at the gym because I'm on my feet all day. I'm demonstrating exercises. Okay, I'm moving around a lot. Okay, and then throughout the day, my calorie burn is pretty decent. Compare that to somebody who's sat like I am now behind a desk, sat at your laptop for 7, 8 hours. Maybe you drove an hour each way at the start of that if you're not in lockdown. And that person there has burnt way fewer calories, especially if they don't even get up at lunch break to go and stretch their legs. They just have their lunch at the desk. Then that person is burning a very small amount of calories. Now, we also burn calories. We're burning them in our sleep, just functioning, breathing, digesting, your brain functioning. Right now, my brain hopefully is working quite hard, and so it's going to be burning more calories than if I'm just chilling on the sofa watching Netflix. Okay, so the calorie burn comes from everything you do, and you shouldn't become too fixated on the calories that you burn during exercise because they are only part of the equation, especially if you're a weekend warrior who does a big hard ride on the weekend, maybe an evening ride in the week in the summer, but then is pretty sedentary the rest of the time. We know then that calories are super important. Okay, so how do we go about actually, making sure and knowing that we are in a deficit so that we're making progress and so we can do that consistently over time to reach your goals for your health, for your fitness, for your performance? Well, one approach is to count your calories, okay, both in terms of calories in and calories out. So calories in, there's loads of apps out there like food trackers and things like that you can use on your phone. You can keep a paper food diary throughout the day and then add it up at the end of the day, again using some software or an app or a website. Okay, I'll make sure I put some links below this video on YouTube so you can do that. But again, it's not always that straightforward. The science in this shows again and again that people underreport what they actually eat. They keep a food diary and they forget things or they miss things out and things like that. And then there's the actual accuracy of what you're recording, because are you really going to weigh how much steak or broccoli, or how heavy your pasty was that you had from Greg's at lunchtime? You're obviously not going to, are you? So there's always going to be a lot of estimation going on in there, in that calories in department. But that's not to say you shouldn't use it, but you need to take it with that pinch of salt, okay? It's a great place to start, and I urge you to try that approach, okay? But it's not perfect, and for some people, they just won't get on well with it, but try it. Calories out then, how much you burn, now that's a whole different thing. So again, there's loads of calculators out there where you put in your age, your sex, your body weight, and things like body fat percentage if you've got access to that, and then it gives you a rough idea what your base calories are, okay, i.e. how many calories you take just to function to get through 24 hours, okay? So typically for an adult male, you might be sort of 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day just to function. That's before you've done any exercise. So it's eating, sleeping, breathing, walking around, digesting, all the things that we do every day. And then on top of that, you add on the calories burnt through exercise, which is readily available these days. Still a bit of an estimate, but readily available through, heart rate monitors, fitness apps, even your smartwatch can tell you how many calories you burnt in a session and things like that. Put those two numbers together. What have you got? I'm eating more than I'm using. Guess what? You're putting on weight, or it's about the same. You're going to be pretty steady. Or I'm in a deficit. Keep that up over time, and you should be losing weight. I can hear some of you right now going, "Yeah, okay, Ben, that's all very nice, but how do we actually do this? And how about insert name this diet? Should I do this one? Should I do paleo? Should I do keto? Should I do high carb? Should I do low carb? Should I do no carb? Should I be a vegan? Should I be a carnivore? Okay, any of these things, all the cabbage soup this, and there's a million diets and approaches out there, all trying to get your money, get your attention, and get you in. And each diet and approach works for someone. Okay, they've all got the pictures. I used to be this fat and now I'm this lean, and they all try and sell you something a little different. But at the end of the day, for each one of those to work, whether it's high carb or low carb or keto or whatever, they all worked in the end because the person doing it got themselves into a long-term calorie deficit. Okay, now whether or not that was sustainable for that person and they then bounce back, whether or not that was healthy for that person mentally, physically, and with their relationship with food, that's a whole other story. Okay, because most of these things, they only look at, oh yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, drop a dress size or whatever, and all that nonsense. Okay, whereas actually, they have worked, but can you do that forever? What is your long-term plan so that you could be long-term healthy weight, lean and athletic and things like that? Okay, that is where we need to be a bit smarter and think about a more balanced approach that really puts health at the center of your approach. Let's talk a little bit then about the psychology behind fat loss, okay? And treating it like any other goal, really. If I've got someone in the gym or someone doing an interval program and things like that, one of the things that is really motivating is to see some progress, see some results in the first few weeks, okay? Imagine you're in the gym, you're sweating out, you're working hard, a few weeks later, you're not any stronger, okay? Sack the coach, get a new program, it's time to start again, okay? Same goes with fat loss. You're putting in some effort, you're trying hard, 3 weeks down the line, you're on the scales or whatever, nothing's changed. Oh, but I did this, and I did this, and nothing's changed. That is pretty demoralising. Or it's a really small change because you've only made some really small incremental changes to your lifestyle and habits. Now, that's where I'm going to slightly contradict what I said, because actually it's really good for your motivation and for your long-term adherence to start off just a little more hardcore than you think you can maintain. Okay, So in the long run, if your fat loss journey is maybe going to be 3 to 6 months to get to a healthy weight, which is entirely reasonable for lots of people, then maybe you go that bit harder in the first month and really drop that first bit. Bang! Oh yes, lost over a kilo, okay, or 1.5, 2 kilos in the first month. That's brilliant. It's entirely achievable for loads of people. That rate of fat loss, though, is unlikely to be achievable for 6 months, okay, because the level of restriction and the level of adherence is quite high. So it may be that after that initial jolt where you know things are working, that you then turn it back a little bit, and so that each month, yeah, we're still losing fat, you're still consistently in a deficit, but it's a lot more manageable, okay? It's a lot easier for it to be part of your normal day-to-day lifestyle without living like a warrior monk in a cave just eating nothing but like twigs and stuff like that. It's got to be sustainable over a long period of time, but making that quick change at the start is really powerful for your motivation. So I'd urge you to go that little bit harder at the start of your fat loss journey. Let's look then in a bit more detail at actually how to go about doing this and healthy eating in particular. So let's first of all talk about what a healthy meal is. Okay, it's going to vary. Okay, for everyone. Some, if you're allergic to something or you don't tolerate something, then it's clearly not healthy for you. Okay, but those things aside, I, despite how confused everyone gets about nutrition, if I sat you down right now and said, tell me what a healthy meal might look like, chances are most of you are going to get it fairly close, i.e. it's going to have some sort of protein on it, okay? Whether that's meat, fish, eggs, maybe from dairy, or again, like beans and pulses and things like that. It's probably going to have some sort of carbohydrate on there as well, potato, rice, pasta, bread, that sort of thing, okay? Energy. It's probably going to have some sort of vegetables on there as well. Okay, there's so many to choose from, but all your greens are what people think of, and that's great. Yeah, broccoli, cauliflower, beans, whatever you want to think of. Okay, salads. Okay, and you've also got fruits and stuff as well that people think of sort of on the side, but it's all part of that same, fruit and veg kind of family. The bit that maybe people don't always think about so much is the fats as well, that are super important for your health, okay, despite their high calorie content, okay? So that may be things like olive oil in a dressing or like put on some vegetables, but it may also be things like butter or in other full fat dairy like in milk and yogurt and things like that, as well as, fat can then be in, for instance, the protein source. So if you have like fattier cuts of meat, like a steak, a ribeye, or something like that, you also get your fats in there too. And then that then makes up, what I would call a healthy, okay, don't take me too literally, a healthy and balanced meal. And then all it's about doing is tweaking the amounts of those ones to meet your needs and goals and how you respond to different things. So, some people may respond well to reducing the carbohydrate part on their plate and increasing a bit the fat part and also the like vegetable part. Okay, that's great. Slightly lower carbohydrate. If you don't get too mad with the fat, then we can actually still get in the calorie deficit, and a lot of people find that this is a positive thing for them, for their appetite as well, because the carbohydrate can mess with their blood sugar a bit and their appetite and things like that. Conversely, there'll be other people who will do a lot better by increasing the carbohydrate, because you know what, that stuff tends to fill you up. Big bowl of pasta or rice or potato, that stuff fills you up. And to allow the calories to do that, then maybe you decrease your fat intake a little bit. We're not going low fat or no fat, but just decrease that a little bit. Okay, and actually you're that bit fuller now, and you can still end up in a calorie deficit. So we take that plate of food and we can then tweak it however we want to get the results we want. And it may be that you have to try different things, because there is no one right or wrong way to do this. you'll notice there that I didn't actually talk about tweaking the protein intake. Now, the sources of protein can change, yeah? So, you can have high fat or low fat protein, okay, like chicken breast, low fat, sausages, or a big pork chop or a big steak is likely to be higher fat, okay? Both are fine, but the higher fat is obviously going to have more calories, and so it's all about fitting it into the bigger picture of your plan and how you're going to approach this. Anyway, back to protein as a macronutrient in its own right. What I would suggest is that a lot of you, especially women, are probably not eating enough protein. Okay, when we eat more protein, number one, you preserve your muscle and strength as you lose body fat. The last thing you want to do is get in a calorie deficit, sit on your arse all day at the desk, not be eating enough protein, and the scales are down, but they're down because you've burnt up a load of muscle as well as fat. So yes, you have lower body fat, but you're also weaker and less able to do your sport. That sucks. That's bad news. So what we need to do is keep the protein level up for your health, for the maintenance of lean body mass, i.e. muscle, and it helps to keep you full, and it's going to support you doing training and riding and activity and things like that. So exact figures for protein are going to vary, okay, but as a good guideline, you need to be looking to eat 1.5 to 2 grams of protein for every kilo of body weight. Okay, I'm about 80 kilos, so I need to be aiming for around maybe 140 to 160 grams of protein every day. During periods of really intense training, if I'm really going for it, then you know what, I'm going to up that, okay? If things are a little more chilled out and I'm not stressing my body too much, then I can be at the lower end of that, okay? But that's one of the first things that you're going to have to address, okay? So you're going to build that healthy plate of food around the protein, okay? And that protein is going to be spread throughout the day because you're not going to eat all of that in one go, probably. You've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay? And then potentially some snacks in between. And between all of those, you need to be hitting your protein target, and then you build the rest of the plate around that protein. So we've got a real basic model then of, how much protein to eat, what healthy and balanced meal and diet looks like, and then how you can manipulate those to get yourself in a calorie deficit, okay? There are a number of things that are going to go along with this that are going to help you, especially in being consistent over the long term, okay? The first one is to drink plenty of water, okay? Loads of people, they just, they don't drink anything all day except for tea and coffee, okay? You need to be getting the water in. It does fill you up a little bit, okay? And it's just super important for your health. So get the water in, keep drinking it, okay? Not leave gallons and gallons every day, but a couple of litres throughout the day, and then make sure you're hydrated whenever you're training, okay? Before, during, and after. The second thing then is sleep, okay? And people are always like, sleep, how, if I'm asleep more, I can't, I'm not burning calories, I'm just lying there. But it's the bigger picture, how sleep supports the regeneration, the repair of your body. Sleep is when you de-stress, you recover from training, okay? And if you're sleeping well and getting plenty of sleep, then it's going to make the changes easier. It's going to help you to be consistent. It's going to help for your body to be in a positive place so that it can actually effectively lose body fat over a period of time, okay? So if you're just up till 3 a.m. playing Warcraft every night and watching Netflix, and then you're up 4 or 5 hours later every night, then this is going to be an uphill battle because your body is going to be stressed, okay? And that links on to the final one, which is particularly pertinent at the moment as I'm talking to you from lockdown, is managing stress in your life, okay? Nothing in your mind, body, and emotions is in isolation. Everything affects everything. If your body has a stress, it puts that stress on you internally. If you have stress from your job, from money, from lockdown, climate change, your relationships, then that manifests itself in your body and in your actions and in the way you go about your day-to-day life, okay? Stress will also affect things like your appetite. Now, sometimes we all know that person who gets dumped or whatever, and the stress and the sadness, suddenly they're really lean, okay? But for a lot of people, stress it's going to lead them to overeating, to comfort eating, okay, to habitual, eating on a day-to-day basis. And stress may reduce your ability and motivation to go and exercise or to get out and do things, okay? So reduction in stress needs to be right at the top of your priority list, okay? It's right up there with sleep, with your protein, with your water, and all of that then contributes to helping you get into a calorie deficit in the long term, which is how you're going to lose fat and reach a healthy weight and improve your performance, improve your riding. Now, at the moment, you're thinking, Ben, this has got fuck all to do with mountain biking, but it's got everything to do with mountain biking, because who rides mountain bikes? Humans, okay? Chances are you're a human, and so it doesn't matter whether you ride unicycles or mountain bikes, okay? This is how you go about losing fat. For the more in-depth stuff where I'm going to talk about riding your bike, okay, I promise, and what to eat before, during and after a ride and all that sort of business, then make sure you tune into the next episodes of Fat Loss right here on the Strength Factory YouTube channel. If you've got any questions, leave them below. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you drink your water, eat your veggies, okay? And let me know how you're getting on. Take it easy. Thanks very much.